Are you one of thousands of individuals who know you have psychic abilities but don't know how to tap into your higher self? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakken here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 41, then Tuesday, rain possible with a high of 47. Celebrate the holiday season with a wonderful meal at an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant. They're perfect for any occasion, from a gathering with friends, family, or a work holiday party. Check out the list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we ease into the Thanksgiving week. It's, one of my favorite times of the year, only because it's just such a, it's just so, I don't know, it seems kind of calm, actually, even though I know those of you with families and kids are probably going crazy right now, trying to get ready for, the big dinner and stuff. And I, years ago, personally speaking, I really kind of took myself out of all that, took myself out of the whole, big family functions and stuff. And not for any other reason, is that's, the energy is overpowering for me, as I know it's been probably for many, many of you. And it's tough. It's tough for sure. And so we just wanted to, I understand that, but I had taken myself out of that a long time ago. And I'm going to explain why in a little bit here. First of all, I want to just say, as we ease into Thanksgiving this week, I want to, I just want to say that this is going to be a light week in terms of where, it doesn't seem like a great week to be talking demons and stuff, right? I want to kind of focus on happiness. I want to focus on what we're thankful for. I want to focus on spirit communication with family. I want to focus on what makes us happy in general. This show has always been about the paranormal, but it is, as I say at the beginning, it's always so much more as well. And I've always said too that I don't think that it's necessarily a show, that we've created a community of people who, we don't go into the places that are like, known as scary and whatnot. It's not about that to us. It's always been about talking and reaching out and getting spirit family members from spirit side to reach out to us, talk with us, help them. And it's fun occasionally to talk about this other stuff. I certainly do it, but I prefer the aspect of it where we're crossing over spirits, where we're helping other spirits with whatever they need, helping other people with spirits. And that's always been what it's about for me. So, tonight it's kind of a little bit about, whatever we want to talk about, really. Because I named tonight's episode, What Makes You Happy? I want to know what makes you happy. If you want to put it into the comments, if you want to put it, I'll talk about what makes me happy. Some of the stuff that I collect, some of the stuff that I'm into that's beyond the paranormal, as we kind of ease into the week this week, because it really is always it's always good to talk about these things as well, and be grateful for the moments we have. And I know that a number of you are going through tough times, and for the past 4 years I've been going through tough times, and I feel like for the first time in those 4 years that about 2-3 months ago, that things started to really turn in a way that I haven't seen in years. And I just talking with a friend about it the other night, just all sorts of things, even financially, being able to just go to bed at night maybe and not always worry about what's going to happen the next day and whatnot. And those are hard things to talk about with other people, because it always comes down to pride and showing that you're okay, things are good. And I had some really kind of frightening things a few years back that kind of kept things going in a sort of quasi negative way for a number of years. And I've been blessed with a lot of people who've helped me with that, helped me through it. And but I'm also blessed for being able to have, I believe, the tenacity to make it through. And so I wanted to just ask those of you who are having a hard time, and I know it's not easy, but to also try to focus on what is good, what is positive in your life, because that's what the last 4 years, that's what I was doing, and I still do. But the last 4 years, that's exactly what I was doing. I was focusing on the positive, and that's always hard because you're basically trying to manifest good things, and it doesn't happen overnight, you know? And that's a thing that is, I talk to people about. And over the past 4 years, I think I've done a really good job of being able to understand how manifestation works and how manifestation for a better life works as well. And I talk to people and they're like, well, I tried and it doesn't work. Well, so how long did you try it? A couple nights I tried to manifest, whatever, and it didn't happen. It didn't work. And I understand that sometimes we want things to happen quicker than we are going to get it, but there's patience involved as well. And there's so many people I talk to. I'm gonna change that. There's some people I talk to. It's not there are some that stick out more than others. That you talk with them and they're like, like, how are you doing? Not good. I'm sorry to hear that. And you ask them what it is, and they talk about things that they're not happy about, like their job, the amount of money that they make. And these are all very valid things. And sometimes you end up not being able to talk with these people for a while. And you meet up with them again, and sometimes a year later, 2 years later. And how are things going? Not so good. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What's wrong? My job, my money. Well, last time I talked to you, you mentioned that that very same thing. What have you been trying to get a job? No. Oh, okay. I mean, we have to help ourselves. And there's going to be people out there right now probably getting mad at me, being like, I work very hard and it's still nothing happens. I understand. But there are those who have the power to make those changes. And some of those changes are actually easier than they probably think they are. But it takes effort, and it takes time as well. If you, as I think most people know, I hope most people know, that when you want to try to find a new job, that it's not going to take a month. It may take a year, it may take 2 years. It may take a while. As long, if you have a job currently and you're looking for something, take all the time you want. I mean, the job market is not great. But that being said, you have to be at it and keep going at it. And there was a time not too long ago, a couple of years back, and really kind of going forward up until really this year, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep my house. I wasn't sure. There's a time that I was 6 months late on paying the heat, electricity, and I timed it so that would happen in the winter, because they can't turn off your stuff in the winter. They just can't do that. So, I'm trying to figure out, and kind of rob Peter to pay Paul, to pay bills and whatnot, because things just were rough. But I also knew that I had the power to make those changes myself. But I also knew it took time, and it did take time. But, during that period, I tried to be as smart as I possibly could. And even though I think I did all right, who knows? Who knows how well I did? I mean, over time we'll see for certain. But it just took some sacrifice. It took some tenacity. It took, and also being very honest with people, when sometimes you need money and you need to remind people to either pay you or do whatever. It's not always easy. But I learned over the past 4 years to be a bulldog, basically, something I never had been before. The last time I had a full-time job had been in September of 2021 until this year. And so, I look back on it, and I'm like, how the heck did we stay in this house? But I mean, it just worked really well. Where I'm eventually getting to with this is, we have that power. And I had done a lot of manifestation, a lot of, a couple ways. First of all, manifesting, asking for what I need. And I'm not here to tell you what you need. You know what you need. But the thing is that you know what it is. Do not be afraid to ask. And that was the first problem that I had, was that I was kind of afraid to ask for stuff, because that felt like, I don't know, it just felt greedy. I think asking the universe for what I needed, it felt greedy. But the fact was, it's not greedy to ask for what you want, because you need it. And it might be as simple as, I want ice cream, and you want to put that out in the universe. And that's a thing that I really want to endorse for people, that you gotta ask for it to get it. The other part of the manifestation, though, is that you need to remind yourself and the universe what you're grateful for. And it's easier to put out the negative than put out the positive. You should all know that by now, right? If you've been listening to me long enough, you know that the negative is always easier and stronger to put out than the positive. So it's going to take more to put out the positive, but it's going to be worth it if you continue to do so. And my good friend Shar, who you may know from such radio shows, well, as this one, she was the one that said to me, every day she says 5 things that she's grateful for. And it seems so powerful, doesn't it? That just seems so powerful, to just be able to say, you know what? I am so happy for this, this, and this. And the idea is that with that, the exercise is trying to do that when things are the crappiest. And that's hard. It's hard for anybody. It's hard for me to be like feeling like you've been, pushed down again, and to be like, well, I'm thankful for this, this, and this, when you want to, wallow in your, self-defeat or whatever it is. But I challenge you to try to do that, and try to, bring that up, because it's important, and it changes the makeup of who you are. I am positive about that. And so I started doing, the 5 things I'm grateful for every day. Or sometimes I'll just sit there, have a good meal. And I have a lot of them, folks. I love good food. And I'll just be like, thank you for this. Thank you for this food. I just say it, because it just is so wonderful to be able to have it. And I think, so many of us, and I put myself in this, take that for granted. We take that for granted, that we have, so much wonderful food that is just at our fingertips, really. And wonderful food doesn't have to be like your favorite, most expensive meal. It could be, once again, getting back to what we're talking about tonight, what makes you happy? You know what? Sometimes a quarter pounder of cheese from McDonald's makes me very happy. And I know there's a lot of people like, ooh, you go McDonald's. I'm like, listen, knock it off. I know most of you actually do. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like over 1 billion people served. Okay. I just remember back in my days, like, especially in the advertising agency world. Oh, you do that? You go to McDonald's? Yeah. Sometimes 3 times a week. What's your point? I love it. And I'm not afraid to tell you all what I love. And I'm going to get to that too, I think, because it's worth talking about. What I want to do is this. I want to be able to see what makes you all happy. Someone put in the comments already. Put in the comments, what makes you happy, please. However you want to say it. Could be as just as much as, green grass makes me happy, or you can put in whatever. I just want to know what makes you happy, because it's important. It's important that we remember those moments. Certain songs make me happy. A smell of a cologne might remind me of, or perfume might remind me of something from a long time ago. And that stuff is what makes you happy. Please do so. So once again, put it in the comments. Let me know what makes you happy. From there, we can just keep talking about all sorts of different things as well. We have a lot to get to. I hope you want to take part in this, and I hope you join in. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Mavericks makes me happy. I don't think that's any surprise, is it? Mavericks makes me very happy. My gosh, we need to get a bunch of people together and go to Mavericks one night. What do you all say? I think that would be a lot of fun. And I don't know. It makes me happy. And I tend to go alone because I just like to just sit there and eat. I don't know. That probably doesn't make me sound like too interesting, but that's a great place. If you haven't been out there, please go out there. And if you do go out there, please let them know that you heard about them through AM 950, GhostBox Radio, whatever you like. But just let them know that their friends over at AM 950 talk very highly of them. Tonight, as we head into the Thanksgiving week, as we're into it, heading towards Thursday, please let's start off a little light tonight, and we can talk about what makes us happy. And once again, please put in the comments what makes you happy. We'll read them. It's really cool. It's sometimes nice for us to just remember what makes us happy. And then please don't take this as me telling you all what to do, and that you need to remind yourself what makes you happy. I'm just really talking about myself, to be perfectly honest. It's always about me. It's always about, like, what is it that I do, and then maybe somebody might get something out of it as well. So that's really where that's at now. So you may not know, and why would you, quite frankly, that I've been sitting on a folding chair in this studio for the past 3 years. And so what I'm what I'm doing here for 3 years is sitting on a folding chair where I edit my audio, do my show, I do other different things that make me happy. And for some reason last night, I am just like, enough of this chair. And so I'm like, I'm going to get a desk chair. I'm going to get a proper desk chair, because I have a larger house and I have computers set up in 2 other places in the house. Yes, I do. And they all talk to each other, and I do different edits and stuff in each one for different reasons. And upstairs I have one, and down here I have 2. I'm in one right now. And so each one of them have a desk chair. And I'm like, okay, I need one for this. And I don't want a folding chair anymore. So I start looking, like, on places like Amazon, looking for chairs and stuff. And what I find is like, $100 and some. And to me, that's reasonable. Obviously we all know you could pay a lot of money for a chair. I'm like, I don't need anything better. Anything is better than a folding chair, anything. So I'm looking, and I thought, you know what? I should really look at Facebook Marketplace. I don't do that enough. This is all part of the learning back in the day that now over the past few years, like, I need to budget very well. I need to be very careful what I spend money on, because I used to be horrible at it. I need to be much better, and I have been much, much better. So I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace, and there's some in Minneapolis. There's a weird one that in Minneapolis, $40. I thought, oh, this looks really nice. And you look at the seat, and there's some strange stains on it. And I'm just like, no. That's an immediate no. But I'm looking around. I'm like, yeah, there has to be somewhere closer. So I changed the search so it's a little bit closer. I had it set to 100 miles. That's not going to happen. Yeah, I'm going to drive 100 miles to get a Bruce is like, smart move. Yeah, it sure is. I'm not going to go 100 miles to get a chair, no matter how good of a deal. But then I found one in Big Lake. So, and this is all, me telling the story is taking longer than all this actually happening where I actually went last night. It's like 9:15 p.m. and I'm driving to Big Lake to get a desk chair. And it's just while I'm driving out there, I'm like, this is weird, but I mean, it's like I want this, and the people who are selling it, they had a good price for it, and they were like, come on out if you can. So I did, and that's what I did. I came out and met some nice people and put a chair in the back of my truck, and I drove back home, and I'm sitting on it now, and it's great. Except I don't know, for those watching in the last segment, as I'm talking, like the chair starts to go lower and lower and lower. And next thing you know, it looks like that there's like a foot of headspace between me and the top of the frame. So I don't know if this is something that we will be experiencing going forward, but nevertheless, it's fine. I just, sometimes I might look like that I'm drowning in my own studio or something, but it's still better. I mean, first of all, back support. I mean, who knew, right? Secondly, just the fact that I can swivel and just I have arms on this chair, and I mean it's amazing. It's pretty incredible. So I just needed to share that because I'm so excited about this. So, and I've mentioned before, I'm doing this other program starting hopefully in January called Minnesota Bites, and I've been all around to all these fantastic restaurants in the Twin Cities, and we're going to go outside the Twin Cities as well to interview. And I'm going to be editing in the studio. This is where all my audio stuff happens. And it's like, I am not going to be edited because it's heavily edited program. I am not going to be editing this on a folding chair that has a pillow on it, and it still doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't work. So that's the story of the chair. I know that all of you always wanted to hear that. I'm glad that we were able to share this with you. Now, the question I'm asking folks, if you want to put into the comments tonight, and because I'm by myself, we can't take calls, but on Wednesday, we're going to do what we're going to call Casual Wednesday as it happens. And so what that's going to mean is that we are going to be asking the question, what are you thankful for? And I think what we're thankful for is different than what are we happy about. So let's talk about what makes people happy. Bruce says, what makes me happy? Escaping from day to day through time to myself, casual dinners and with friends, going to improv to laugh, and Doctor Who. Be as possible as possible. And it's true. And I've known Bruce for a long time now, and we share our love for Doctor Who. Bruce has been kind enough to come out to some of our ghost stories. And I just saw Bruce over at Twin Cities Con, and I will be over at Console Room coming up in January. And I'm going to be doing some presenting there in a little bit. I'm going to look it up, and I'll let you all know how to get involved with that as well. We're going to talk later about Doctor Who, folks, if you like it or not. And actually, the whole program tonight, I was going to talk about Doctor Who because yesterday was the anniversary of the start of the series. We call it Doctor Who Day, and I wanted to share how much happiness it brings me, and that's just ongoing. And like I've been on Matt McNeil's show, and we've pontificated about Doctor Who many a time. So it's just how it is. Now Chuck says, I am happy, thankful for my family and friends. Right. So I mean isn't that great? The one thing I'll always remember my mother for, and there's a lot of things to remember my mom for, is that what made her happy was seeing her family happy. It didn't matter to her that it was a lot of work sometimes. And I'm not saying that that's how it should work. She would love, like you go over to the house, and back when mom and dad were both alive, and you'd go over to the house for like holidays and stuff, and she'll be like, oh, I made sure they don't normally have this, but I make sure I got some Jack Daniels for you. I know you like Jack Daniels. Or I'm making your favorite potatoes to go with dinner tonight, and that sort of thing. And, for the longest time, I'd be like, oh gosh, you don't have to go through all that. You don't have to do this. You don't have to. Finally, it hit me. It literally makes her happy. It makes her happy to see us happy. And that doesn't mean we take advantage of that. It means, though, if she wants to, spoil us a little bit, it does truly make her happy. And there's always parameters to that sort of thing, but that was the thing that was really it's actually touching to me, that she just wanted, you could just see that part of the fun was getting it all together for us, and then eventually the grandchildren, and she just enjoyed that. That's what made her happy. And that was so sweet. Jeremy says, what makes me happy? I'm happy that I get to write stories every day. People complain about work. I have to do this. I have to do that. I get to do what I do. And there's something to that. I mean, I work at the station, and I am very grateful for the work at the station, because it allows me, and for those who don't know, you may think that working at like a radio station, like the size of AM 950, that we have a lot of people to do a lot of things, and we don't. But what I'm allowed to do is I do everything from helping with finances to promotion to graphic design work to recording to producing, as well as having the flexibility to be able to fit all that in, as well as do this show. And I work with people who are wonderful. They're kind people. They're good people. I've said this before. The owner, Chad, he is truly probably one of the most kind people I have ever seen. And to see, not, and this, I mean, he's been very kind to me personally, but to see that kindness, how he doesn't even think about it as kindness, is just as how he is built, and how he shares that with people that he doesn't even know. That's beautiful. It's actually makes me actually a little emotional when I talk about it, because there's very few people I've come across in my life who are like that. And especially when somebody in the media industry, and not that we're all monsters, but there is a certain like hardness and cynicism in some ways, but he is consistently has been so kind to all of us there. So, like, and where I'm getting with this is Jeremy also, it's like I get to do this, and he's talking about how people complain about work and whatnot. And, we're allowed to make things and try to be as creative as we can. And I appreciate that very much. So I totally get where you're coming from, Jeremy. Talking about Mavericks, Chuck says Mavericks GhostBox Radio Night. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's see. Carrie over on YouTube says, love the show. Wish people would chat more. It's tough also because, Carrie, I'm doing this across multiple networks. So there are some, but I get what you mean. I would love to be able to like have like one chat room where everybody can just come in and talk and stuff. I used to do that on the Para X radio network, and that's always something that I love, and so maybe someday we'll get there. I should revisit that. I don't know if that's even a possibility, but there's a lot of people, and it's also, you may not use Facebook, but my GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken Facebook page, that seems to be the one that has the most people watching, or my personal profile as well. Let's see here. Carrie also says, nice to work for a good person. She says, I have had a great boss and I'm truly appreciative of that. And, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to say a great boss will make your life easier, but you don't really understand it until you are living it. And, it always comes with some, trust as well. You got to make sure that you are, on the up and up as well. But yeah, it really makes a huge, huge difference in just the way that you live your life, to be perfectly honest. I've had, for the most part, I think I've had pretty good managers. And I've had a couple that were horrific. And you also get some that just don't understand you. You can't be friends with everybody. You can't. And I personally, I'm a bit of a weirdo. Let's just be perfectly honest here. I'm an outsider. I'm just sort of do my own thing. I'm also a contrarian, not by choice. And for those who don't know what that means, is like someone could put out an opinion, and I tend to want to share that my opinion doesn't always match theirs. Try to be, if I'm going to do that, though, I want to be as respectful with that as possible, and not just do it for the sake of doing it, but to do it for making the conversation. It actually works towards the conversation instead of just being a jerk about it. But some may still see it that way. And in my past, I've had some people that just didn't get me, or maybe I didn't get them. And it's always tough, because you want to, and then you realize that it's just not working. And one of the more recent ones I had for a short gig, prior to actually going nightly here, it was clear he didn't get it. But what also he didn't get was the whole paranormal thing, because I would have people in the place I worked. A lot of people were asking me, about all the paranormal adventures and stuff that we'd go on. And I didn't want to bring it up to people in meetings or at work, because I knew that that's not everybody's thing. Not everybody wants to hear about that. Not everyone is comfortable with it, to be perfectly honest. But, if they asked me, I would talk to him about it. And he always seemed to be this other boss from another company. He always seemed to be rather uneasy about it. Even in my interview, because he interviewed me, and he brought in other people to interview, and they all, found out what I did. And they just had tons of questions, and you could see it just wasn't his thing, nor does it need to be. But it's just one of the things that, you got to kind of look out for. And that was weird for me, because I had spent a great deal of time at my previous job at Carmichael Lynch, where we all celebrated differences and whatnot, and creativity. And so I never had an issue with that. You might have people come up and say, I don't really believe in that sort of thing. And that's fine. You don't have to. But I've never had anyone come up and be like, you're a liar, you're this, you're that. And, there's been many a times that people would come up to me who I didn't think were going to be into this, because, sometimes we're judgy, and someone would come up and be like, oh man, I'd love to do one of these with you. And you're like, well, wow, I never thought that you were into this at all. Very interesting. Now, Beth has said, I retired in February. Congratulations. That's a gift I don't think I will ever have. I'm very happy making new friends and finding new activities that I enjoy. That's fantastic. Good for you. Especially, you're working so hard, throughout your, working life, to be able to have the health and have the ability to retire and take care of yourself, enjoy new things. I'll be interested to see for myself where I end up here in a number of years. Still a little ways away for me yet, but you never know, and it's going to be here sooner than you think. But because I currently, as long as I'm still healthy, I have a hard time not doing some kind of work towards something that I'm interested in. We can talk more about that. I love the fact that so many of you are putting in what makes you happy. Please consider doing that. I really think that's great. Why don't we go ahead and take our next break? When we come back, we'll do more of this. We'll talk about some other things. Since it seems to be about me tonight, talk about other things that make me happy, talk about what's coming up this week. Let's have some fun. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken. We're going to get back into some paranormal a little bit, as I want to talk about family members that have passed, friends that have passed, pets that have passed, and come and visit you. You know, we talk about this from time to time, but I think it's always worth having the conversation as we continue on. It's one that will never get old. And I've had more interaction with Linus over the past couple weeks here, really over the last week. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about a dream I had with my dad. I want to hear what's going on with you as well. So it's going to be another Just Greg tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about loved ones visiting us. And I love talking about it. I love hearing what you're all doing too. And I love sharing the fact that I had a cat who passed in December that seemed to have mastered the afterlife better than anyone I've ever known in my entire life. So I want to talk about that. And some of you might be like, are you kidding me? No, I'm not actually. It's pretty incredible. I have a confession to make. Things have been so busy, and things have been since before October. And for those of us in the paranormal, we all deal with, October being kind of crazy with all sorts of different things going on. No different for me. And then going in November, and I'm working on helping out with the membership stuff for AM 950, which if you want to know more about that, go to am950radio.com. It helps out the station directly, which is always good. And you can get a calendar that we put together, pictures by Matt McNeil, as well as I had a hand in laying it out and putting it together. So once again, one of the things I do at the station that, never thought I could do, and I'm doing it. I'm loving it. So we have that, but we have this, we just have this thing happening here where it gets so busy. And so I'm thinking tonight and the rest of the week, I'm just going to have myself, and then Adam will join me for what we call Casual Wednesday, because there won't be a show on Friday. I get this text from one of my guests, and she's just like, are we still on for tonight? And this is like probably the third time in all the time I've been doing this that I have totally missed a guest. And my heart sank. And she wrote this amazing book about how popes die. Honestly, it's about a book about how popes have died. And I love that sort of thing. So I've already moved her twice, this poor person. And I sent her a text back that hopefully it read as if someone had their tail between their leg, because I did. And it's like, I'm so sorry. Right now, can we move you to next week? And she's totally totally okay with it, and been very kind and flexible and patient. And so we're going to have her on Monday. Tuesday, we're going to have Char Savoy on. We're going to be talking about the last investigation that we had in Anoka. And that's something that was pretty special. And I want to talk about that because we do these every month. And we just want to give you a little bit of an insight of what these things are like. And hopefully, some of you will decide to come out and join us for that as well. But tonight we're talking about what makes us happy. And we've talked about a couple different things, and some folks have kindly put some messages in the comments. And if you want to do so, please feel free to share what makes you happy as well. Jeremy says, something I decided to implement on the 13th Dimension, which is a show that he does on the Things Network. That's a Facebook and YouTube network. Please go check it out. It's called Things Network. There are a lot of different programming on there. So the thing that, no pun intended, that Jeremy says is something I decided to implement on the 13th Dimension. At the end of the show, I'll ask my question, what 3 things you're grateful for at this moment in time. I did it on the first episode of the 6th season, but I forgot to do it this past Friday. And, you know, it's something also that I think that is important about what we're happy about, what we're grateful for, that it changes minute to minute, second to second. It really depends on all sorts of different factors. And that's what I think is great about it. You know, one day, you know, gravy could be what makes you the happiest person in the world. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be big. It could be as big as you want or as small as you want. You know, you ask this question and somebody will, you know, really try to find this very, you know, deep and heavy answer, and that's fine. You know, they might be talking about some sort of, you know, astral sort of alignment of, you know, this and that makes me happy. And I could just be like, well, chicken McNuggets make me happy. It can go either way because that's what it's all about. It's what makes each of us happy. And I love it. I love, you know, I'm after going through a little bit of tough time here over the last couple of years. I've been really enjoying the simple things, like just driving to get some stuff done, getting a bunch of those calendars that I just talked about for the AM 950 membership drive, putting all those together and then sending them out. You know, because you know why? Because it shows that we're moving forward. We're getting something done, and that I'm a part of it, and it makes me feel useful. It makes me feel like something that you know, that you know, I felt like I hadn't been around people in a while, you know, and it just makes me feel good. And that's the sort of thing, you know, if you have a chance, go over to Facebook, find Minnesota Bites, MN Bites, or go to Instagram. I'm there as well. I posted a picture tonight of a cheeseburger I made, which was kind of a sort of a bit of a smash burger, but I didn't want a smash burger. I didn't want something that thin, so I did smash it, but not. You know, smash burgers are about 3 ounces. I made a 4-ounce burger that wasn't completely thin, but wasn't super thick either. And just put that in a fry. It was phenomenal. You know, it made me happy on 2 levels. One, that I got to eat a very good burger, and secondly, that I can make a very good burger. You know, that I can make some decent food. I can, you know, I don't have to worry about not being able to, you know, cook for myself, as long as I have all my faculties, because I can cook. And that goes back to my mom, who I was just you know, I thought she was the greatest cook of all time, and I still think that she is amongst the very top. She knew how to do anything, you know, and she just knew how to make it work. And you know what I mean by that when I talk about people who cook, that they just knew how to make it work. They just take ingredients and they make it work. You know, the idea of understanding how flavors go together and how ingredients go together. And you know, that's something that um you just don't have. You know, not everyone has it. My ex-wife would make because she saw it was sweet of her, because she saw how much my mom making a uh some kind of uh shredded like potatoes, like almost hash browns with cheese sauce. she saw how much my mom making that for me made me happy, so she thought she'd do the same thing. But she didn't. She wouldn't leave the house, and she only used what she had in the house, which was the shredded like hash brown potatoes. But she didn't have any cheese or like cheese soup or anything like that, so she used green pea soup, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's not great. It just so whatever, but it's just like wow, okay, and that some people don't have that ability to kind of know what flavors belong with each other. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a bunch of you out there saying that sounds amazing, and maybe I'm being too much of a monster about it. To me, though, it was kind of like no, 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 no. This is not very good, and that's what also prompted me, along with seeing my mom and missing the food that she made. That's what prompted me eventually to start cooking my own stuff, and it took me years to get to a point where I feel like I can confidently say I can cook some food, because grilling has always been a big thing for me. I loved it, but I know and I remember what some of my steaks looked like early on in my grilling journey, which back then I thought were these are pretty tasty things. You know, they actually had no like color to them. They were gray, with some grill marks on them. Didn't want to do it too much, and I think probably pretty much raw in the middle. And I like a good, rare, medium rare steak, but there is a bit of a difference there. But you learn over time. You learn how to anything. Even when you think that you have the knack when you start out, 20 years later, whatever, you look at it and you're like, oh, wow, I really have evolved. That makes me happy. That makes me happy that I'm at a point now, too. If something goes wrong on the grill, for example, it's like I know how to fix it. Back when I first started grilling, when I was living in Roseville, Minnesota, and my friend was the one that got the grill, and it was February. It was a beautiful day in February. And I'm like, well, it's such a great day. I'm going to go out and grill. And I got a bunch of like pieces of chicken, and I put it on the grill. And one thing I didn't really understand, and that was a gas grill, that you got to clean out the inside of your grill, because otherwise it can catch on fire. And so I'm in the house, and I'm like making my sides. They're going to go with my chicken in this February grill, which is very rare doing for. I mean, now I do it all year round, but back then it was like, oh, this is just too nice to pass up. And I look outside and I see my grill, and it just inside, you can see inside is nothing but like orange flickery going on. I'm like, what is happening? And I open it up, and like everything is on fire, and I'm panicking. Now I wouldn't panic. I know what to do, but I just grab a bunch of snow and I just throw it at the grill. This gas grill, who knows what sort of damage I did to it, but I just like, and then I shut off everything, and I basically ran back into the house. That's how it was back in 2000. That's how I grilled back then, not knowing what to do and not knowing how to problem solve. And now I'm at a point that I can do it and feel very happy about how I can hopefully turn sort of a catastrophe into something salvageable, at least. And that's just what time does. And I'm very happy that I was able to do that, to be perfectly honest, because I just remember being very scared when I opened up that grill and everything was on fire. And I think what scared me the most is you had all that fire up there, which is very easy to actually take care of without throwing like mounds of snow on it. And my mind is like, my God, there's fire up here. There's a propane gas tank right below it. I'm screwed. I wasn't screwed. But back in the day, it just, not knowing what, you don't know what you don't know, being able to fix that and get on your way, I guess. I don't know. The stories of cooking, I know all of you have such things. I've heard so many stories from people over the years about how certain things worked certain ways and big mistakes that they made while cooking. And, now you wouldn't do that anymore. I remember I think I've told this story before, my mom making Yorkshire pudding. Huge in the UK. Really big for Sunday roast dinners. What people get thrown off on is the word pudding. And I think that's what happened to my mom. My mom, I don't think realized, and I could be wrong, and I wish I could ask her now because, now since then I've found out what, or Yorkshire pudding is. Yorkshire pudding is basically an elevated popover. And so, and what you do is you are filling this super hot pan with super hot oil in your little muffin tin or whatever. And then you're pouring in the batter, you put it in the oven, and you just let the batter rise and become this Yorkshire pudding. I think she thought pudding as in like Jello pudding or something, and it was this eggy, gross disaster that I refused to eat, and she wouldn't let me leave the table until I finished. I mean, it was one of those situations. It was hours, and it was by that point it was just cold, which it wasn't great to begin with. It was truly one of the most horrific experiences of eating ever, and I feel bad because I just don't think she knew what it was, and I really wish I could ask her, did you really think this was pudding? Because it's not. It's not pudding at all. So I mean, maybe the egginess of the batter might have been a first giveaway, but who knows? Who knows what it is? So yeah, that's where that is. Once again, folks, tomorrow we'll return to some paranormal, and we're going to talk about the the way that family spirits and whatnot can come and talk to us, join in, come to dreams, whatever. Please consider bringing your story tomorrow. Put in the comments. I'd love to hear some stuff that really meant a lot to you as well, because this is a great conversation and one that I never tire of. So make sure you join us tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, Casual Wednesday, Adam will be in. We'll finish up the week before Thanksgiving. Everyone, have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.